Hi everyone, time to take the final episode of the day, which is Fundamentals. The episode starts with two cops walking down a hall at the police station. Lights begin flickering and Oliver shows up, asking them where Diaz is. The building goes on lockdown, and Oliver starts fighting numerous police officers. He gets with the cops to tell him that Diaz is barricaded in a room surrounded by many cops. We then go back 10 hours to see Oliver and Felicity watching the TV reports about a possible impeachment due to Oliver firing the DA and police chief. Oliver and Felicity are arguing about approaches to bring down Diaz when Diggle shows up. Felicity tricked him into coming to Air HQ by telling him that the chip in his arm needed a code update. Diggle still refuses to work with Oliver. Oliver and Lance are meeting with Councilman Collins to go over likely impeachment charges. Collins warns Oliver that impeachment proceedings will begin later that evening. The council warns Oliver that he should have solid proof against the DA and police chief, and indicates it's nearly he'll be impeached. Oliver needs to leave City Hall to take William to a science fair. He gets back to talk with Felicity about her progress with gathering proof for Oliver, though Felicity tells him that the main proof that they would directly associate though Felicity tells him the main proof that they have would directly associate Oliver with being the Green Arrow. Felicity and Oliver start to yell at each other, and in anger, Oliver has accidentally destroys William's science project. Felicity tells Oliver to leave. Oliver spends some time at Air HQ, and Felicity shows up to tell him that they need some space. Quentin shows up at Air HQ to comfort Oliver. Oliver begins venting to his father figure, making note that Lance is actually the only one not to leave him yet. Quentin leaves, and Oliver starts hearing banging coming from the lift. He arms himself with the gun, and when he opens the door to the lift, Adrian chases there with a weapon. She starts shooting at Oliver. They fight for a while until Oliver is able to place him in a stranglehold. As Chase starts making threats to Felicity and William, Oliver snaps his neck. Oliver leaves in dismay when he goes to check. Adrian's body is gone. Oliver hallucinated the whole fight. Oliver says to run a blood test on himself and discovers that somehow he's been drugged with vertigo. He considers with the councilman they met with earlier may have somehow drugged him through skin contact when they shook hands. Oliver needs to talk to Lance about the situation, but then Oliver starts to hallucinate and see Adrian again. The hallucination tells Oliver not to tell Lance in his current condition. She tells Oliver that he's the cause of all his own he's the cause of all his own problems. Oliver uses the book and gets a call from Lance advising him that he's late to his impeachment proceedings. At the point when Oliver goes to leave the lift from the shelter, he ends up in his old house. He's quickly drawn closer by a more youthful form of Laurel Lance. Oliver starts to have unexpected irregular visualizations. He sees Laurel in the medical clinic on her deathbed. He sees Renee in the medical clinic. He shows back up in his present condo and discovers his maid wounded in the stomach. She cautions him the man with the mythical beast tattoo is still in his slops before she bites the dust. Diaz ventures out and sends Oliver with a taser, making the City Hall leader tumble to his knees. He at that point awakens in the dugout and is especially drawn nearer by a pipe dream of himself as the hood. Oliver shows by his hearing longer than an hour late. Arrow pulls him aside and tells him that the proof that would interface him with Green Arrow, advises him as their lone cards at play. Oliver notices he was gathering that the Green Arrow gave him monetary reports that interfaces to city representatives that he terminated with Ricardo Diaz. Arrow pulls him aside and instructs him to return to the dugout and get the vertigo out of his framework. After Lance leaves Oliver's office, the Chase mental trip shows back up and discloses to him the best way to escape this difficulty is to capture Diaz himself, and educates him that Diaz is at the police headquarters each night. Felicity will get back from the science fair reasonable once to get back from the science fair and Felicity's telephone begins humming. Alarms go off, indicating Oliver's gone to the police office. She calls Lance, pursues Oliver down, trying to stop him, yet Oliver rapidly takes Lance out. Felicity shows up at the police office discovered wrecked. At some point after the occasions we saw at the earliest reference point of the scene. She tracks Oliver down and needs to persuade him that she's genuine and not a mental trip. She does what it takes not to go into the room where Diaz is being held. However, the visualization Chase shows up again for the sake of arguing, attempting to get Oliver to go into the room. Felicity puts her hand over Oliver's heart and understands that she's genuine. Standing by anxiously, Diaz arranges his men to leave the room and seek after Oliver. He's ready to escape Felicity without getting harmed. Oliver comes back to the fortification with Felicity and Lance. and Felicity gives him a creation to neutralize the vertigo impacts. Oliver limits Felicity that if he's going to keep being the Green Arrow, he needs to return to nuts and bolts with no group encompassing him. Arrow strolls in and turns on the TV. Oliver's been impugned, and Lance, as the appointee City Hall leader, has been named a substitution. Back at home, Felicity moves towards her better half about being terminated. But Oliver guarantees her she wasn't terminated. He says she needs to do his missions alone. Oliver goes to gross with William just because this ends obliterating his science venture. William communicates worry over Zad's indictment. Oliver clarifies that he was incidentally sedated. William tells his dad that Felicity disclosed the circumstances to him. At City Hall, individuals are tidying up the jumble Oliver caused the earlier night. Diaz is working in the open in his own office when Black Siren appears. She asks Diaz for what reason he simply didn't shoot Oliver in the head, and Diaz discloses that he needs to destroy Oliver a tiny bit at a time. Whew. So anyway, let's take a look at some trivia surrounding this episode. Back to Basics was the original title for this episode. Near the end of the episode, Oliver says he needs to go back to the basics, likely indicating the title change was a post-shooting decision. This first episode contains Oliver's suits as both the Hood and Green Arrow. This last episode to feature Adrian Chase as Josh Segura later returns as his Earth 2 counterpart. Felicity mentions that she parent-trapped John and Oliver, referencing a scene from the 1961 film The Parent Trap, in which a protagonist tricked their separated parents into seeing each other. When Felicity pulls up the SCPD feed, she says 1013. This could be referenced to the founding date of the League of Assassins or Malcolm Merlyn's birthday. And then finally, let's take a look at a goof. When Oliver yells at William and accidentally smashes his science fair project, it can be seen on the table, perfectly intact, moments later when Felicity tells Oliver to leave. Oof. So overall, I think this is a pretty interesting episode, and yeah, it kind of makes you wonder what's going to happen as the rest of the season goes on. So yeah. So overall, I give fundamentals 4 arrowheads out of 5. Wait, tune in more as we take a next episode, the dragon. So until then, in the words of Oliver Queen, you have failed this city.